Trekland HQ, and we are live. Yes. Enjoying Star Trek? Well, thank a teacher on National Teachers Day. Yeah. Today it is Trekland Tuesdays live with me, Dr. Trek, Larry Nemechek, coming at you from the heart of Trekland through Portal 47 and Trekland Treks, where it is getting to be Trekland Trek season, gang. You want to customize your own away mission around Southern California to revisit some of your favorite actual Star Trek sites? Get in touch with me. We will customize your own away mission. Yeah. Coming at you here another Tuesday for some sanity, clarity, and a bigger picture in all things Star Trek. I'm so glad that you're with us today. Last week was kind of, if you were with us last week was kind of a marathon. I had a lot of things I wanted to get off my chest that were all interrelated, and we did. So I'm going to reel it back this week as I welcome everybody into the chat now, and from all over the world, may I add. If you are new to Trekland Tuesdays Live, welcome. I'd love for you to sound off in the chat, and while you're getting to know our great TTL community over here, let us know where you're coming from. What's the weather like? How you been? What is your brand of Trek? Because we are all different. Yes, we are all different. Which is kind of what animates the discussion here. As long as we're all civil, that's all we ask. And I guess I should start saying now, no spoilers of anything coming up, including the French Prodigy. Okay, do I need to spell that out now? Apparently I do. But we have a great time here. A lot of fun. Most every Tuesday, almost. And sound off in the chat if you're new. If you're one of our veterans, well, it's good to see you. We'll check in with you later. Now, if you are new, a couple of things. Please come in on YouTube and like and subscribe when you're there, please, if you haven't already, and share it and do all those things. The numbers on YouTube help you the most, but we are on YouTube and Twitch. That is where you'll see all the comments. And if you are coming in on Facebook, you're only going to see the Facebook comments. So you get more with the Ken Moore. No, you get more if you come in on YouTube, and you'll see the whole entire conversation. So that's that. Now, if you're watching us later on YouTube, glad you are. You can leave a comment too below, just as the live folks did. But we'd love to have you sometime on a Tuesday afternoon when you can. 1-ish Pacific, 4-ish Eastern, 9-ish UK, and 10-ish Central European. That's the deal. So here we are. And if you are new, please, it's fine to lurk. It's fine to lurk. And we have a lot of people who lurk for a long time, but it's always cool when you sign off, when you speak up and let us hear from you. Sometimes I hear from people in other threads and email that never are here in the chat, but they say, I watch on Tuesdays, which is awesome. And again, after last week's marathon of a lot of things I felt needed to be said, needed to be restated, and once again, needed to be connected, I am taking a breather. We have guests coming the next couple of weeks, which is going to be awesome. But for today, as we watch Discovery unspool, as we watch the fight over what the final deal for Paramount Global's future is going to be, as some of these, and as whatever the inevitable little fandom fracas pops up on socials, whatever happens, I noticed that today was National Teachers Day. Now, there's all kinds of things, sadly, competing for attention in the headlines. Some of it's tragic, some of it's misguided, some of it's insane. But at the heart of it all, at the heart of civilization in many ways, let's remember to thank a teacher. And you know what? I don't always do that. Well, and I don't always mark National Teachers Day, but we just had this confluence. Ooh, I can say confluence. I had a teacher. There's a mix of everything aligning right. For one thing, it gives me a chance to say congratulations and much love to my niece, Heather Nemechek Smith, who this year was Teacher of the Year. Got the reflection? There we go. She was Teacher of the Year at her middle school in Prague, Oklahoma, and then she was the Prague Teacher of the Year for 23-24. So yay, I love you, Heather. And congratulations there, and well-deserved. And well, yeah, and all those things. It is teacher day, and when you think about teachers and Star Trek, I mean, you can go to the obvious thing, right, and think, well, who's been a teacher in Star Trek? Well, we've had lots of academy professors and all that kind of thing, but I mean, some things with some, I mean, our mind immediately goes to, Keiko on DS9 until she ran off to do botany of her own, till the boys got too old for education classroom stories to lose their relevance a little bit. And it did get very ugly there with the bombings of her school, something that's sadly never out of the headlines. But next gen, the big family ship, families on board, primary schools. So a shout out to Miss Gladstone, who was Ian Troy's teacher, Lieutenant Ballard, who was Law's teacher for a few hours anyway, and Miss Kyle, who was Alexander's teacher, with the Gilvo in the classroom. Took them on field trips, or field trips paid with their class. I don't know. How do you not go on a field trip when you're on a starship having class? I don't know. Not so many teachers per se on all the other series because, well, we haven't been so family oriented. I don't know. But if you want just, on the nose, by the book, shout outs, anybody can scroll up Memory Alpha and check out your teachers. From Keiko on down. Let's not also forget Amanda Grayson was a school teacher by profession, Spock's mother. So there's that. Can't go wrong. And most of all, personally, and you know what? We all are a product of our time. The time I grew up in and where I was, there was a lot of growth. There was some stability. There was uproar of Vietnam and Watergate and all of that, but there was also stability socially. Now it reads as old sentimental nostalgic posts by boomers and older exes about the world we grew up in. But it feels like the most disruptive force going on most of the time I was in school. And there was also some political, national, social thing. But the biggest thing that was disruptive was, and it seems like an eternal situation, was funding. It was education funding and being cut and all that, and education being a priority. And National Teacher Day is a way to honor these heroes for the most part, but also one of these things we always give it lip service. Oh, we never pay teachers enough. It's insane that our professional athletes and our professional movie stars, all of that, entertainers, and they should be rewarded, but the balance is out of whack for the value that teachers among so many service providers do. But this is really the backbone of civilization, gang. And please, if you want to sound off now in the chat, go ahead. I'm going to circle back around, and I won't take an hour and a half to do it this week. We'll circle around and get back to everybody's chat comments if you want to too. But that's why I'm not diving into the chat comments right now if you're new to Tuesdays Live. But what I'm trying to say here is, it's just like excuse the old phrase, beating a dead horse here, a broken record. What are the metaphors and aphorisms and all of that, similes from a digital era? Is anything ever going to be as colorful and textured as it was in the analog days of everything? I don't know. But the point is that imbalance of payment for the role that certain professions play in civilization, society, culture, keeping them stable and ongoing, things are way out of whack. And we've said this for decades. And is anything being done about it? Are we having slow incremental change at all? It depends on where you live. I know a lot of that. And even what country you live in too. That's just an uphill battle that it feels like we're always going to be living with. Never enough. But I just feel very blessed when I was a kid that I was in a small-ish district. But the biggest thing was it was very suburban, next door suburban to a suburb, but it was under huge growing pressure. There was never enough money. There was never enough resources for most of the time I was growing up. Because it was such a huge rural district serving an under-industrialized, tax-based district. And that's a theme that's repeated all over the place. Some districts are very urban and they have a lot of urban social problems. I don't know what I would do these days. I was a kid. I had kids. The whole social media, phone in your hand generation. Oh my God. I don't know what I would have done if I'd had kids today. And by the same token, knowing how teachers are dealing with that. And look here, if I wasn't doing what I did here, if I didn't go into journalism and theater, I would have been a teacher. Fully half or 2/3 of my cousins have all been school teachers, either lifelong or at least part of their lives. My older brother's college degree is in was in industrial arts education, being an industrial arts teacher, shop teacher, and before he went into law enforcement. But yeah, very close to I was very close to my teachers, and some of that you say, well, that's the privilege of having lived in a fairly stable, small town, small district, and that's true. But here's the thing, I don't care where you live and who your teachers are, and yes, there are always some bad ones in the bunch, although why? Are they under stress? Are they not being paid enough? Are they under the stress of dealing what they're dealing with? Are they under a out of whack social system? And there's all kinds of things. I didn't mean to get into the politics of current education plans, although I do think that running and hiding in caves and segregating off is not the answer. We miss something when we're not all dealing with each other. As we're showing right now, it's really easy to get siloed and lose track of having any contact with anything else. So I will always be a huge supporter of public schools, and in the places where they're in need of aid, the hyperbolic might say in crisis, then fix the fucking crisis. And if you don't have people to fix, then get better people to work on your problems. This doesn't have to be rocket science. And you can't reinvent society, I know, to support that. But we can't run away and hide either. We never get anywhere. Well, I don't know. I feel like I'm going into some Kirk speech about always having to struggle to make humanity better. But I do know one thing. I do know that when it comes to teachers in Star Trek, the red letter day, maybe it would have happened some other way eventually, in a competition for the attentions of me as a kid. But yes, I've told this story so many times, but it was my 9th grade science teacher that finally shamed me, pop culturally shamed me into going home and watching Star Trek when she found out I wasn't, after school reruns. And yeah, so thank you, Mrs. Pollard. That's no longer her name. But here's the thing. She was a first year, straight out of college, bubbly first year, still had all of her vim and vigor and her excitement, her enthusiasm for teaching. And that was junior high. That was middle school or first year high school, however your schools are divided. And you know what happens. There are beloved teachers. There are sadly burned out teachers who work their entire lives and they retire. And hopefully, unless someone's attacked the system that's supposed to protect them from political influence, even like crazy parent political influence, but also provide them step raises and have a pension at the end of all that. And some people now, 40, 50 years, we have things, and suddenly people think they come along and revise that. That needs to stay. In fact, we need more of that. We need more of that, because if nothing else, the pandemic ripped the Band-Aid off and showed us who really was vital to society and how they tend to be the ones who are most underpaid. And we put so much stress, the angst on teachers as well, to educate our kids, but also do everything we don't want to do as parents. We need you to be the secondary educators that way. And that varies from kid to kid and from district to district, I know. But teachers are under so much stress. And you know what? We celebrate. I think of the old days when I would have older, especially in grade school, especially elementary, when I'd had older teachers that had been career teachers, and they retired and, had the big retirement thing and had years and years and years and years of students who could talk about them. It tends to be more that way with elementary. and high school. You get into problematic stuff and dealing with raging hormones and adolescence and all of that, and getting out of there and pressures of life and parents and family and all the social things. We ask a lot of our teachers, but I think about how bubbly and perky Miss Pollard was, and how the first year teachers were always that way, and how some made it and taught for years, and how some don't, or they teach for 5 or 6 years and realize they cannot make a living. They cannot have a family on what they're making as a teacher. Maybe they have a side hustle. Maybe they go into administration, or they coach, or they they sponsor 15 clubs. They do something madly to try to up their income. They drive buses. They do all those add-on things until finally maybe they just can't and they go back into private business. They do something else. Or they go get advanced degrees and they wind up teaching in college. And that's fine. That's the feeder system. But I just think of that raw enthusiasm for so many first-year teachers right out of the gate when they're so enthused to share knowledge and change the world and help their students open their minds, especially if they're in a situation where they're not going to have much world eye-opening ability. If they're in small towns, if they're in places where there's not a lot of mix, if they're in pretty bland-looking places, they're trying to do their best to bring some new ways of thinking, which of course today is under attack. But that's how you don't go stagnant. If the world around you isn't doing it for you, if you're not in a busy, bustly place with lots of people and viewpoints and experiences mixed in, then the teachers are the lifeline to bring that in if they're left to do it. And for whatever reasons, most of the time it's just they can't afford to live. They have to change. And that's what's wrong. Have we made any progress on that with our teachers? I don't know. I'm going to say this to bring it back around to what we're all supposedly here for today, this time of day. When you think of it that way, when you think of how much, like so many in other professions where they're not paid so well, but they take a lot of pride in their job and they take a lot of pride in the service they provide, whether it's the people on their route, whether it's the kids they see every day in their classroom, whatever the field is that may not be paid the most, but they take, and they're actually completely necessary to the functioning of society, but they're not paid as much. This just dawned on me this morning. Yeah, they can be young and energetic. We might beat it out of them with the situation they're having to live with. But you know what? If ever there was a modern day career that's ahead of its time, that's living in Star Trek's time, on a Starfleet level, I'm going to say it's public school teachers. Excuse me. If there was ever a career living in Starfleet time, but without that whole post-scarcity, we don't need money thing. What did Picard say? The acquisition of wealth is no longer a driving force in our lives. We work to better ourselves and the rest of humanity. Well, the teachers are living that every day. The ones that have not been burned out, the ones that still have the fire and the flame and love seeing the look in their students' eyes. The ones that still feel like they're helping change today and change the future for sure, make it a better future. Those are the people living in Star Trek's times. Only, yeah, without that whole, we don't need money, we don't have currency, the acquisition of wealth is no longer of importance to us. They're still having to live in that world, even when they're sharing the enthusiasm and the desire for a future of that other part. Yeah. Think of it that way. So, happy National Teachers Day. We can go to the obvious connections there about teachers in Star Trek and look up the little Memory Alpha article. But we've got to not forget what was exposed in the pandemic. We've got to remember who really are the pillars that hold up a functioning society. Because I tell you what, kids, some of the way that society's going is obviously showing the effects of not having enough education, not having enough exercising of the brain vis-a-vis critical thinking skills. We can never not have enough of the basic facts of thinking through a problem, getting all the facts together, and then coming up with, whether it's a math equation or it's every decade or so re-examining the history that we thought we'd lived. And it starts with the kids. Oh, you could go to college and have professors that may expand your mind that way. They may be expanding your mind too fast. And then things really get radical, as we're seeing these days. But just the building blocks of what I call in everyday life, keeping your blinders open. right? Don't get sucked into that groove. Don't get stuck in a rut. Don't get caught in a stagnant backwater, whether physically or mentally. That's not how we get to the 24th century or the 25th or the 32nd or even the 22nd. All this talk lately about changing the prime timeline and, having the temporal incursions, I would totally love it if somehow we could just kind of totally bypass the need for that whole World War III thing. Yeah. We could just get Cochrane to come up with his warp drive functionality without having to use an old nuclear missile. That would be cool. If we're going to be into this whole temporal wave revisionism, I'm for that. But I don't see how we don't get there until we are able to enable, to support letting our teachers teach our kids not just dry dates and facts, but how to use their mind. Math problem solving gets us there. Yeah, even algebra and geometry. They at least keep your mind nimble and let us know what's happened in the past, all of it, the good, bad, the ugly. And even not just who did what, but what was what. And as fast as society's changed, I find myself giving tours at Will Rogers, teaching kids what telephones and typewriters were and radios. The culture is changing so fast. The things from 30 years ago are already ancient history. And even if it's just for the fun of it, we're even more on an accelerated pace to remember to pass on to these new minds how far things have come, how fast the acceleration lane is, both for the nerdity trivia of it, but also to bear in mind why half of the world feels like they're going in slow motion. Half the world looks like they may be just doddering and elderly, because things really have exploded. The digital revolution in so many ways. And when you come down to that there may not be a class in education colleges. There may not be a class in that. We ask our teachers to do so much more than just convey facts. And I know what it was like. I remember babysitter teachers, in effect, in a good way, not replacing parents, but just adding on. And they're out there, and they're going above and beyond. So yes, let's do what we can to support the profession. Let's do what we can to not punish teachers for not being gods and goddesses and saving our kids and our society. They want to build to the future, but when they're stuck having to fix the current, that's a tall order. And we were asking them to do it on such a small paycheck. And apparently lately with so little job security. No one ever takes, not that I've never been on the side of the parent who is in the right, because I have. But there's a lot of pressure that teachers are under because of the current times. So many ways. National Education Day, National Teacher Day means so much more than it used to, even 10, 20 years ago. Food for thought, gang. Food for thought you never thought you'd be having on a Star Trek show and Trekland Tuesdays Live. But there you go. From the personal, thank you, Mrs. Pollard, to the canon, thank you, Amanda, and Keiko, to bring it at home. So that, hopefully we can get to that Star Trek future. All right. Did I surprise you? I promise we will have guests. In fact, not just next week, but the next 2 weeks coming up. So I'm looking forward to that. But what I'm really looking forward to is as it gets warmer and con season and travel season and vacation season. Yeah. I said it once, I'll say it again. TreklandTreks.com. If you've had an itch to have a day tour to Star Trek sites that you pick out yourself and I concierge you around, fill in all the gaps for you, wrangle your props, handle your cosplay with you, do all the things, pick you up and bring you back when you're in greater LA somewhere. We'll work it all out. in advance. Yep, we're that season again. But of course, I gotta thank our Patreon folks, right? Diana Hopkins, Robin Wilson, Lawrence Todd, Josh Patton, excuse me, Justin Porteous, Glenda Bruton, Chris Jiggins, Pranakashan Productions, Comedy Forecast. Always love changing the syllabus around there. And Andrew Zimsky and our live wires. Thank you guys too. Robert McLean, Byron Bailey, J.R. Poole, Javier Gunjansson, Alan Hoensi, David Gregory, Tobias Rex, Donna S. Runyon, Greg Wickstrom, and Casey Shafsky. And when I say that, we just started a new month. So here we got a fresh slate. It's patreon.com/TreklandLives. It's just a $5 and $10. Go ahead if you want to. Go with more. But that's what it is for a shout out. And so much thank you. It's about time to do another 6-month access to more interviews, more of our guest night videos from the earliest years of Portal 47 back there. So thank you. Thank you, all you Patreons. And if you're not, that's a very basic way you can support everything here if you enjoy what I'm doing. And bit by bit, we're picking up more folks catching TTL later and Second Opinion. Second Opinion coming up every week here. And you know what? How have I never had a sign for Second Opinion? I don't know. I need to get some graphics. Second Opinion right here on my channel every week. Whenever there's fresh Trek, it's a reaction show, occasionally to headlines, but the mainstay is a reaction show to the fresh Trek. I really enjoy those. This is the first year that Discovery, first time in 2 years, has been around since we've been doing Second Opinion. So it's really the first season through applying the Second Opinion framework, which is me reacting. And it's not in the heat. You can get up and look at your 6 a.m. Thursday review shows. That's totally fine. But Second Opinion is on Saturday. You can read and watch everybody else and then see. I might be repeating something else, but I bet there's at least one point in every show that nobody else is getting to, because that's the Trekland way and the Dr. Trek way. However, what is on hiatus right now is the Trek Files. But you know what? There's 11 seasons, 24 episodes a season sitting there. And some of our guests, 15, 20-minute shows, they're folks that are no longer with us. So Dorothy Fontana, for one. Late, great Richard Arnold for another. Check it out. Check it out. We're the only podcast with homework. And most of all, if you're leaving us now, YouTubers, Larry Nemechek on Twitter X, would you please check it out? Instagram and Facebook, as well as YouTube, Larry's Trekland, and portal47.net. If you enjoy the whole vibe here, we have such a great community of the Portales. It's a monthly package, subscription-based. You get, well, go to portal47.net and check it out yourself. I believe that's it. YouTubers who are catching me later. If you're live with us, though, hang on. I'll be right back after this little break. But for leaving us now on YouTube, sure. Just, do all the things. Stay healthy. Stay woke. Check your sources. And, Trek well, everybody. And thank a teacher you're a Star Trek fan. A little more, please. Okay. Let's backtrack. You're on time for once. And ahoy back at you, Justin, and thanks for being a Patreon. And same thing for you, Comedy. Cue the Scooby-Doo music. Scooby-Dooby-Doo, where are you? Hey, Chris, I know you were a more recent viewer, but good to see you. I did I don't know about your platform. I did manual ones this year. We had a evolution over the last 24 hours of what today would be. So there we go. Hi, Frank. Happy Tuesday. I think you've been with us before, but I'm not sure. But if you're new to Tuesday, glad to have you there. Yay. Thank you, JR. And Adam, and look at everybody. Hey, Steven. Everybody go watch Steven's show's Text Trek. It's a great show, too. It has great discussions. Well, JR, it's fine. You're still accepted and loved. Okay. Let us see. What's going on here. How can you miss delivery and installation day? I guess Hey, annoying critic. Always in favor of an optimistic future. Well, of course, despite your name, your handle, that's good to know. Absolutely, as I tried to distill there. Am I saying Tuesday? I have two knocks on my oakiness. I'll still do D's, not days, and I'll have to watch out for window. Yeah, window always sounds so overpronounced unless you do it just right. Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday is not as bad a thing. The one that really gets me is potato. Anyone that says potato, I just feel like they just sound like they're just an elite snob. They're just overpronouncing it. That it's why don't you just I don't know, hire the butler and maid and have them make your potatoes for you. I have to say potato. It just has to be potato. Potato just sounds too much. Tuesday, though, not so much. Yes, I'm proud of all of them. They're good peeps, but they work their butts off. And it's my other niece is a teacher too. Her husband is a teacher and principal. Their mom, my older sis, my sister-in-law, she was a lifelong teacher and she subbed for some years after she retired. All grade school teachers. They're all kindergarten or first or fourth grade, over the years, second grade. Actually, that's very true, JR. The Confluence. Three Rivers Stadium. It's supposed to be Howard Cosell, but it. Oh, okay. Thank you for the media news, Sean. Glad you could come in with that. Let's see. Oh my goodness. Well, Chris, take it easy with your leg. Okay. The chat needle. Yay, Tilly is a teacher now. Yeah, I was excluding college professors because we totally opened the gate. If you included college professors, you'd have Spock, you'd have Kirk, you would have everybody who either ever taught a class at the academy. Will Mary Wiseman's panels this weekend be lessons? Is she at a con this week? Oh, is this FedCon and she's there? Is that what's going on? Tilly grades on a curve. Are you trying to be funny there or what? Okay, everybody doing your restreams. That's cool. Yeah. Oh, JR, that's what if I hadn't gone into, that was my fallback. And there's times when I felt guilty about not being a history teacher or history journalism teacher in high school. There's times when I felt, but I'm one little person with a batch of people going through over the years. I don't know. It's like it would have been personally satisfying, I think, unless the downsides of the business, the financial, the potential for political abuse, administrative abuse, you get crossways with somebody that doesn't agree. One of my best friends only taught school he was speech and English. And he taught in a little bitty school, but they had basketball, but they didn't have football. They didn't have other sports. They did have basketball. They may have had something else small schoolish. It was tiny. But they did have a very good speech team. So they should have a tradition of speech and debate, right? And yet, one of the years he was teaching and they were up working on their speech projects and their team stuff. And his principal came by and said, told him later, said, Mr. Clark, I walked by your classroom the other day and I saw everybody up out of their seats. And I was fun to go, it's a speech class. They were getting ready for a contest. Like, what? So when you have that old school or that coach turned, and I love coaches. Sometimes, though, some of them did not need to go into being principals. I don't know what their principles are when they leave that, but leave them on the field, please. I know what they're doing. They're just trying to grow their income as well, or find some security where they don't quite. You would think you would still have parents screaming at you when you're a principal. There were probably a lot more parents screaming at you when you're the football coach than not. Anyway, one of my oldest and best friends from college decided that if that's the way it was going to be, he'd just not put up with that and got out of teaching. And he was great with his kids. That's the kind of thing that's just the potential for so many crazy things like that. Just the purity of, here's the thing I enjoy doing and giving this to new generations. There's so much of the complication and the delivery process along about that. But that was always in my back pocket too. Make teaching a branch of the military so it finally gets funded. Yeah. Or get a streaming contract. Absolutely. In all the divisions, JR, we'll give him a heart. Hey, Rocky O. Good to see you here. I appreciate your comments also on YouTube. A lot of you guys that go over even after the live show and leave more comments. And on Second Opinion. Thank you. Hey, Rose. Thank you. Good to see you. Top chat. Oh, I saw this. The anniversary of Tuvix was on the other day, and Twitter went into toxic. Is it just a sign of good writing? It's still not decided on. Janeway was right. I'm just amazed at this hoo-ha. Like, what else was going to happen? There's moral dilemmas every week. I don't know what it is about Tuvix that has just struck this nerve. And at the end of the game, unless they're writing the show to kill off Tasha or kill off, Jadzia, otherwise, of course, it's going to reset and be back with everybody okay. On old school. Now, streaming series, it's out the window, right? There's all bets are off, like Hemmer. Hemmer was planned. He was hired that way. Bruce Horak was hired knowing his character would be killed off in the first year. Only with the caveat he'd come back and be Klingon K-pop. Well, Christoph, you're just making way too much sense. Way too much sense here. Any teacher, nurse, police person, garbage collector, yes. Feed a 4-person family from one job with a 40-hour week? Yes. Why is this so hard to understand? Because Marcia McLuhan said the medium is the message. I'm going to say the millionaire owns the message. Yeah, thank the people who taught writing to art. I'm not dropping any hints, JR. I mean, you do you. Oh, hi, aggressively relaxing. Are you new with us on Tuesday? I'm trying to remember, but I'm glad to see you. Can I just call you Ag? Yeah, imagine making your best Tuvix arguments to Tuvok's kids. It's got to be logical with just a hint of emotion back there. And Tuvix is in the Sons of Star Trek. Oh, you don't think You don't think Picard bettered himself? He's still wild and savage at the end of Picard season 3. Uh, oh, well, okay, Sean. I guess I'll forgive you this week. That's so funny. See, we're all coming from different places all over the globe, and Americans have no idea what the Eurovision song, unless they've gotten into it thanks to the internet. They can be global. Americans have no clue what all that is. Amen, Carl. Yes, Cochrane is shown working at a future to rocket facility in Montana. Well, would it be Montana? Oh, good idea, JR. Maybe the whole point of Star Trek isn't to be canon, but it's Gene time traveling to warn us. Okay. Okay, then. Good for you. I'm glad to hear that. Thank a teacher and an academy instructor. Hey, Dave, you did make it on the tubes. Yay. Hey, Frank, in your 32nd year of teaching. Yay. Well, apparently you found a way to survive even if with all the circumstances you have to put up with. You should remind us again where you are, like what state, what situation you're in, Frank. Good for you. Are you usually here on Tuesdays or do you lurk and just pop up? Either way, it's good to hear from you and thank you. Well, good for her. I don't mean that sarcastically. I mean, yay. There are a lot of teachers out there that don't get much positive reinforcement. Yeah, thank you for your service. Hi, Roland. It's been a while, I think, but good to see you. Oh, yeah, Roland. I've just been thinking the last week or two. My life got derailed with this move, but I've been neglecting Trekland, and I've had the next poll question in my head. I just need to sit down and do it. There's a lot of catch up. I haven't had a poll since the holidays. I haven't done a newsletter since the holidays. So my Trek side is ashamed. My business side is ashamed. My real life side says, come on, give him a break. But no, we need to crank back up on newsletters again, too. There's so much going on. It's gotten too quiet. Especially when this is going to be a quieter convention year. Now, it's still Trek Vegas and still San Diego Comic-Con, although that's a Comic-Con. But we're excited for the cruise, but the cruise is next year. So we will see what's going on. Wow. They were on strike or just protesting something or what, Chris? Oof. Canadian. I hope, I don't know. I hope it resolved well for them. Glad to hear it. Thank you, Com. And I always look forward to your comments and everybody else's. Even I guess we're doing something right because I feel like I've gotten back on the radar where the trolls pop up. I've gotten one or two. I know you're not supposed to engage, but if I can just cling to one little piece of logic or sanity, I try to do it without wasting too much time and without looking like I'm just ignoring or I'm finger la 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 la. I mean, it's I don't want to feed the troll, but sometimes I know they may not be trolly. They may just be someone who actually sincerely is there. And you never know when something you say posed in a civil way might actually make them stop and think if they're still open to doing that. We'll see. Yep. Very, very close friends in academia, huge responsibility. Yes, they do. And when they burn out, they can't anymore. And I'd rather them move on than not be there. But it's sad that that they get burned up in that crucible of less than stellar situations, pay, conditions. Fresh Trek on Thursday. Streaming Tupperware, no need to rewind. Just open and enjoy. Okay, JR. I know I talk about Fresh Trek all the time. Wait, what? The second opinion sign used for the video thumbs could work fine as custom crafted bent neon light sign. Just don't let it blink all the time. Ciroc ceiling fan. Oh yes, it's in his yeah. And Rocky, good on you. And no, maybe that didn't alter their life course, but it enriched their life and gave them something besides just the bare bone existence of living. And the more of that we can have, whether it's helping our brain structure to function or whether it just enriches our lives and gives us something where we're not all living in caves like the Middle Ages, even the things that are not what I'm going to use in a job. Miss Hogsworth, we're never going to use this in real life. Talk about algebra, geometry, trig. Never going to use this in real life. I'm never going to need this. That was the phrase. I'm never going to need this. No, but it got your mind to be flexible. Yeah. Do they have swimming pools on Enterprise? You mean, are we talking about holodeck era? Because that's all you'd need. Right. Hey, Donnie, good to see you and joining us. Yes. Like, subscribe, and check your sources. This. Very true, Dave. Very true. It's Mental Health Awareness Month. Thank you for getting that out there. Because the other 11 months are not Mental Health Awareness Month, apparently. Hey, May, good to see you too. Your smiling face there. Yay. Oh, you know what? I didn't even go here, comedy. Somebody pointed out that was first announced 2 years before, or about the same time Prodigy was in it. Anyway, it just looked ridiculous to have them come out in a total vacuum, like self-unaware. Oh, no, Carl. Video on Facebook from a con in 75 or 76? Was it from Salt Lake or just anywhere? Mention me in one of the comments. Okay, I'll give it a look. Thank you, though. If there's something cool about it, feel free to sound off here. Well, yes, especially William, if they've been mainstreamed and a mainstream teacher is having to, include and accommodate them in her mix of kids. That's rough on teachers. They put a lot of the spectrum kids, like just basic ADHD, are put in a classroom and they expect teachers to be up on. Because the worst thing is to have a teacher who's not fair that they're not up on how to deal with that. They haven't been trained, they haven't been accommodated, and they don't give the child what they need. And the child suffers, the student suffers from being mainstreamed without. It's great when you can do it, but you got to have everybody up to snuff. So yes, anyone who's taking on not typicals and needs to get extra training to be able to do it well deserves the pay, and they deserve the thanks for doing that. Who will own Star Trek a year from now? Whoever owns Paramount, I think. Oh, hey, comedy. No, I was a kid dreaming in the middle of the country that I would never, ever get to New York or LA or Chicago. I'll never see these kids on the coast. They have all the luck. I'm stuck here in the middle of nowhere. Until the middle of nowhere just started having its own damn cons. Not as huge, but still, we did our thing. Yeah, we'll see what happens if it gets split, if TV movie gets split or whatever. Oh, okay, Dave, I promise I will not get you started on this issue, except to say that it does exist and it shouldn't, and we need to get our butts in gear to get the right people in place, whether that means electing or lobbying the people in power to hire the right people. Yeah, it may not be as simple. The days of the simple divorce split might be nothing compared to shattered, stupid streaming with different series on different channels. Oh, and then it comes around and consolidates again. It's almost as if all the money was being sucked out of the pipeline. I don't mean just government funding money, but just the money in the circulating pool of money was all sitting with 20 or 30 people in their offshore bank accounts. Almost as if, because the level of the lake of finance, the lake of money, has drained down into drought conditions. Um, well, you're welcome, Willie, but I don't know if it's, I call it teaching. At least I'm having to go home and figure grades. Oh, well, that's very kind, JR. No, being a teacher would have been one of the easy things for me to do. It would have been the easy path to just go do it, just stay home, just get paid teacher pay, just sit there and do. I would care too much, which is what teachers do. They care until they get burned out, and then that's not a good thing. Then they don't care at all, and you can't blame them knowing what they're having to deal with. It's great for having sitcom fodder, whether it's Welcome Back, Kotter or Room 222 or whatever. There's probably been some shows about classrooms since the 70s, I'm going to think, when I was a kid watching all that. But that's very sweet of you to say, JR. And oh, Melissa. Lisa's amazing. Yes. Absolutely. Absolutely. Yay, Melissa. Hi, Melinda. Yes, I remember at the So Union. Very sad about our organizer there. Oh, well, have fun at FedCon. Tell everybody I said hello. Liz, are you guys going to FedCon? Say hi to Liz Kloskowski. Oh, LA. Well, then you have to come up and say hi at some convention or event or something. Oh, okay. Well, congrats to the Irish Eurovision Song Contest. Yay. Okay. Hey, Frederica. It's good to see you. I know you've been with us before, but it's been a while. Yeah, there's your key things. Underprivileged areas where the funding is low, the kids come from horribly poor, poverty-stricken backgrounds, and or they're violent. The pay is not bad. Oh, okay. That's true. York is a teacher too. I don't know how he has time between teaching and doing. See, but York lives in a country where some of, not all, but some of these situations are alleviated. Yes. What's funny is how York. I mean, I took York on some personal tours around LA 15 years ago, but back when Jorg was another one of the Memory Alpha guys, before he became this internet star, which is cute to watch. I wish I'd had Twitter in the 90s. It's fun to watch him do all the things that I did. I just did them and didn't share it with the world because there was no way to share it with the world. You did the work to do the work, or you did the fun to do the fun. Hi, Frederica. What are you saying here? Can I do international fans a favor? It's next to impossible to book. Plus, they allow people on this year's to cry up for next year. This limits others. So so you're saying that international people can't sign up for the cruise? How is that about I mean, is it something about currency conversion? I mean, what's the actual issue? They are supposedly 95% sold out, which to me means there's 5% is still available with the waiting list. Okay, NRW. North Rhineland-Westphalen. Not sure what town Jorg is in, although I'm sure he probably would tell you. Fellow German fans. Yeah, because see, when it's private education, then there's no uniform standard. Yeah, well, someone's making money. All these public things that were done for the public good, that means somewhere someone's not making money. We're going to revert to being the feudal England that we ran away from. The world that invented public education and public libraries, and I don't know. You want to go on your 60th birthday? Okay, well, very good. Hey, Chuck, good to see you too, man. And thanks for bopping in. The vendor of the decade, really? Okay. Oh, okay, then maybe I'm dealing with outdated information. Very good. Hey, Sherry. Yep, Plushy McCoy is right there. You can see him. But they do have the dolphin tanks. That's built superstructure. Yes, that's infrastructure. Okay, well, I'm glad everybody's having such a good meetup today. This is. I feel like I'm just the hub of all contact here among fandom. A fan had taken a home video of a con in 75 or 76. That's early if it has sound. I mean, the first videotape I was around was in college, like 5 years after this. He gave it to a friend who rediscovered it in the back of his closet, digitized it, uploaded it. He emailed. Oh, no second part. No second part. Okay. Oh, thank you, Chuck. Very good. One thing we didn't do was plug our own stuff. So I guess they do that in the text. I wanted to say, this is what I do every week on Second Opinion. Because I could tell there were a couple of angles I was talking about that no one else was going to touch. But that's fine. Other people are talking about things that I didn't occur to me either. But that's the whole point, is not to be, just a bland rehash. But glad you enjoyed it. I think that's the second one I've done. And getting together with Nick and Sean and that David, who I'm not as familiar with, was a lot of fun. Hardest thing sometimes was keep our mouth shut. Although it was discovery, we would just get to natural pauses at times. You're hoping Skydance. Well, I think that was the early favorite because they'd had, collaborations before. No, you're correct. You're right, JR. They do have someone brought to see. They would let them mention Cetacean Ops because it was an alternate universe back then. It took a while before, was it Troy tells Mark Twain, go by and see the dolphins? I forget what the scene is. Oh, well, Sean, that's good. That's bad and good. And you're absolutely right. How much we could have done different, so many different things that we know now about ourselves and about things in general. Conditions. physical as well as emotional, that we could have done so much pain of misguided interaction over things that were being done incorrectly. But then, there was a time, it's only been, what, a couple hundred years ago, when they used to try to train left-handed people to be right-handed. And think how obvious that is. Oh, this is interesting, Stephen. Your girlfriend's watching, I assume that means not your GIF or your GIF, watching Star for the first time in release order. She loved TOS and is a big fan of animation, like TAS even more. She's worried she will see. You're revisiting the strata of history. You're looking at the sedimentary layers there, the human emotional reaction. That's awesome. You get a little insight onto that band of fandom in 86 and 87. I just remember shaking my head. Jesus Christ, people, it's Gene's show. Shut up. All you wanted was fresh Trek, and these guys aren't getting younger. I was like, the logic of it just, I'm like, now if it's crap, okay, that's one thing, but don't knock the idea. Silly me. I didn't know I could get that phrase off the shelf and use it for the next 50 years. Wait and see what it's like, but don't knock the idea. They may acquire Paramount and sell all the CBS assets to Skydance. But what would Sony already has MGM. They're just going to collect old classic movie brands? I don't know. Maybe TeePublic could sell plush Dr. Treks. I don't think there's the capacity. I don't think TeePublic doesn't have pint glasses. They only have travel mugs. Yeah. Trekwell. Hey, Galinda, glad you could join us. Okay. It's all here. Yeah, she has the right attitude. Yes. Well, I don't know about a third of the money, Sean, but yeah, no merch, no parks. Oh, I hadn't heard this. Bring Star Trek home to NBC? Well, we all know how that turned out. Are you sure? Are you sure you want to do that, Captain? It's very true. Nothing like your first. As I always say, this is what I mean, Frederica. And then when Netflix pulled Disco, that was all tied up in the Paramount Plus rollout, right? Oh, duh. Yes, Abbott Elementary. And Hanging with Mr. Cooper was the biggest show. It wasn't on the Welcome Back, Cotter Room 222 Abbott Elementary level, but it was there. And here's where this gets almost as bad as time travel. But this is the madness to the method here. The method to the madness. Well, we've already had history repeat. When CBS wound up being merged into Paramount and then wound up with the Viacom divorce split, it was weird to see CBS have Star Trek when CBS had given up on it first, turned it down in favor of Lost in Space, the famous story that Gene loves to tell. Good for you, Sherry. What did you teach in high school? What subject? I'm just curious. Hmm. Thanks to cancellation. You had something canceled. Now you can go to FedCon. Okay. Um. Oh, sure. There you go. Use your Portal 47 for research, Christoph. Oh, so it's like the grandfathered in faction. I see. Waiting for you to ease up to the top. That's interesting. Westphalen, I remembered. Nordheim. Okay. Westphalen, I remembered. Some of us remember those days acutely. I missed your thread here, Dave. Hey, Scott. Yay. Scott's going to say, Larry, your light is so natural today. I remembered to open the blinds. Oh, it's black and white video with sound. Black and white. Yep. 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 Sci Fanatics is just on their channel, I think. Somebody can tell you. Galinda, hello, and thank you for being a Portale or a Patreoner. Thanks for being a live wire. What? Hub Station Nemechek Deep Space Nim. Let's see. Jordy asks, I always want to make it. There's something where Troy talks to Mark Twain, Samuel Clements, about something, and I always confuse it with that. Yeah, it's Jordy and the Ferengi in Perfect Mate. There you go. Oh, okay. Yay. Thank you for that, Christoph. This is true, Scott. This is true. It's been so papered over, scarred over, papered over, or maybe halfway successfully accommodated on your own. Just amazing with the combination of life things. So glad once again the second shift is now showing up and everybody's here. About it being black and white. I did I miss something there, Carl? I don't know. Hey, Galinda, that's great to hear. What part of Texas are you? I know them from El Paso to Amarillo to Metroplex to not so much Austin and San Antonio and there. Not, vast West Texas, not so much. That's my, Houston, a little bit down around years ago around Texarkana once. Was it RodeoCon in Texarkana? I call it RodeoCon. Did a convention show in a rodeo arena and under the bleachers with quilts over the bleachers so we could have a slideshow because it was not a facility where anybody had thought, how do you do slides? How do you do a slideshow? We have a projector. There was no way to kill the light in the main part of the room. They had ceiling, big factory type skylights, but no coverage. No way to turn them off. Yeah. What's up with the no cruises in Europe? People just don't do that. What's the thing? There you go. Alan Van Sprang. Very good. Oh my gosh, Sherry, you taught French and Spanish. My goodness. Okay. Well, for one thing, I remember to open the blinds over here. And it's a stable sun. It's not like the first place where it was either hot or cold. Yeah, morning, afternoon, morning on, afternoon off. It was east facing. This is north facing. So I get, from the side. Live wires can do jazz hands. Anybody can do a jazz hand. Galinda. Oh, is this going to catch on? Is this going to be a thing? I did not encourage this. Okay. Oh, thank you, Rockio. Let them know. It's amazing how the ebb and flow of, oh my gosh, this whole world of home podcasting and live streaming and all of this it felt new, and it feels like it's gone through 3 generations just in the last 5, 6, 7 years, and not even all partly due to the pandemic, just people's lives and things going on. Oh, Sean, you're lucky I didn't ban you for this. Well, Frederica, in fact, Alex was talking about this. For right now, nothing is going to happen until the greater Paramount decision making is happening. I mean, things in the pipeline are going to happen, but anything totally new beyond Academy and Section 31, and these 2 theatrical movies on the movie side, that's there. In the TV series, I have better faith in than the movies, obviously, but just the way they work. But yeah, nothing's going to be announced until Paramount is settled. But that doesn't mean that Legacy's dead. I mean, there's so many people scraping for ideas, and here's Legacy sitting here. It's not about that. It was like it was third on the bullpen, and it wasn't planned. It was quasi planned. But yeah. East of Dallas, near Athens. Okay. Well, I'm I-35 for the most part. It's been a while, but I know that. Never got much east though. Came down Sherman Denison that way a few times. Okay, Donnie, you're saying a future Trek show doesn't have to be called Legacy, be under stewardship if anyone understands Star Trek. What a concept. Oh, I think I could sign on to that. Have a show, have a series in a franchise that's being operated by somebody who knows something about that franchise. What a concept. I think I could get behind that. Yeah. Yeah, there's cruises, not just, we've already hashed this out. Yeah. DFW is the jingle capital of the world. Okay. Wait, Donnie, where are you from in Oklahoma? What? Have you had this conversation or this chat version? Chat versation. Latest home improvement. Well, I kind of slacked off for one thing. No, I finally took some stuff to the dump. Does that count? Home improvements, bunch of stuff. It's amazing. It's amazing. I've been playing support nurse a little bit too. We had a surgery in the house. Nothing horrible, just shoulder. So that's been taking a lot of attention and time too. All for the good. All for the good. Yeah, sure. It's not that I haven't been sharing. I've been too busy. Yeah, Jenny Johnson is amazing. If you haven't seen her work, go even look at it. Yes, and you beat me to it, but this is what we both said. Absolutely. Well, contrary to public belief, I'm really pretty much of a free speecher. If it's civil, didn't even say funny, just civil. What? Well, speak of this. Are we near the end of the chat? I think we're near the end of the chat. I think we're getting there. Well, Frederica, I tell you what, you're not in a small club at all. Millions are with you on that one. Yeah. Exactly. I think we're there. Yeah, Sherry, those were kind of inspired out of desperation and fatigue, but there we go. Boom. Hi, Dennis. I think you've been with us before. Where'd you go, Dennis? Oh, things are moving. Can I just get this to go? Alberta, thank you, man. You know what? I don't have that many. Now I have a couple, but I haven't had that many Canadians. And I had one Portal 47er one for about a month or two. Never have had any Canadian Portales, which is weird, but glad to have you there. Yes, we're at the end of the chat, gang. So good to see everybody. Donnie, I guess I'll find out where in Oklahoma you're from later on. You've probably told me. Let's see. Probably told. Anyway, yes, gang. I think that's the end of the chat as we know it, and I feel fine. So look, one more time. Nobody's on here watching, YouTube later, so you guys know. You guys know what to do. I hope everybody does go over and check out that we're on hiatus from Trek Files, but it's all there. Lots of good stuff. There's such a catalog and a library for Trek Files now that when something happens, somebody passes, something becomes big, we can put reminders up and all that, right? So one more time, thanks to all of our Patreon folk. You know who you are there. And if you are not and would like to come in and help support what we're doing here, very small, simple level, it comes out at the end of the month, $5 and $10. It would be great. Love to have you aboard. You can do more, but if you do or want to support us more, just jump on in the portal and you'll get all the benefits of being a portal member if you want to help out. Boom. That's portal47.net. Otherwise, Twitter X. If you have not subscribed on YouTube, please do that. So I got into the game late before it was a racket. In the beginning, YouTube was just a free server to put the video, host your video for your blog. Yeah, that was before it became the most used search engine, even more than Google, apparently, for all those who prefer to watch, not read. That's it, gangs. Thank you so much for joining us for another Tuesday. I promise you will have guests next week. Next 2 weeks, we're going to have guesty shows. So get ready for that. A lot of fun. Discoveries unspooling. Then we'll have another gap. We can talk about what we're doing during the summer. while we're not having fresh Trek? What's going on? All that's down the pike. And for today, anyway, I'll just say stay healthy, do all the things. Stay woke, check your sources, and Trek well, everybody.